What's up, everybody? This is Ronnie, your go-to instructor if you want to learn how to design with Canva. Today we are going to have a tutorial about how to create tables, like spreadsheet-like tables with Canva. So this question has been popping out many times actually. I've seen people asking in different Facebook groups, how can I create my tables in Canva? Because I do get it, tables are pretty boring, right? So usually people create them in a spreadsheet software like Excel, which has become the standard. You can create them in Google Sheets. Same thing, they are pretty boring out there. So it would be very cool if we could create our tables directly from Canva, right? So actually there is no very obvious options to do it. So there is no table category, I would say. Let me open a document and show you what I mean. So I'm going to open a presentation size Canva. So it doesn't really matter which size are you choosing at this stage. But what does matter is the outcome that you want to achieve. So let's say we want to achieve a table like this one, for example. So this is a pretty simple table. It has 4 columns of 3 different sizes. So we have the first one, which is the largest, then we have 2 columns that kind of look the same, like in terms of width, and then we have a narrower column, the last one. All right, so a couple of lines. Let's say you want to create something like this in Canva. What are your options? So let's have a look. There is actually, if you go to the Elements tab right here, you can search for charts. And these are graphics that will let you input some data. So if we click on this one, for example, it looks like a table, but there's really nothing to it that you can do. It's just a simple graphic. Nothing is editable, so this basically is useless. So we won't be using this. And there are a couple of graphics like this one, for example. This looks okay, but again, not usable. I cannot do much about this because I cannot edit it. I cannot delete part of it. So what are our other options to create nice tables in Canva? Well, the trick here is to search in the template tab for calendars. I'm going to show you 2 different ways of creating these tables. So if you search for calendar in singular, no S, calendar. Okay, it seems like Canva is not finding the calendars when I search directly from the template inside the Canva editor. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back home and search from here. I'm going to search for calendar. All right, and now I have more options. I have my calendar options, and as you will notice, these calendars, they use kind of like tables, right? So let's try this one. I'm opening the Canva calendar template from the home page. Didn't work if I wanted to find it directly from the Canva editor. But as you can see, now it shows me all of them. So I don't know why that is. Might be a bug, or might be maybe the format of the document that I chose that doesn't allow me to search for calendar templates. It doesn't matter. I do have my calendar here. And let's see how this is made. So I can see straight away that this, if I move it, it's like a whole thing put together. So let me first delete what I don't need. So these things right here, I'm going to center this and try to analyze it. I can see the ungroup button is it's activated. So that means I can ungroup this and something will probably happen, right? So I just ungrouped and I can see that this calendar is actually made out of different boxes, out of different shapes. So there's a rectangle here, and then there's a bunch of smaller rectangles. They kind of look like squares, but they are rectangles just put together. So this is one shape that has been copied many times and properly aligned. So that would be one way of creating your table. I would consider this is the hard way of doing it, because you'll have to create your shapes and manually align them all. So this could take a little bit of time. I'm not saying this is impossible to recreate. As a matter of fact, I want to show you how to recreate something like this. So let's start from scratch. I'm going to add a new page. I'm going to position this page right after my first page. Take this and put it here in the beginning, like this. Let me close this multi-window view. All right, so I'm going to try to recreate something like this. So first, I'll need a shape. So I go to my elements and I will search for shapes. All right, so shapes are going to be found here under shape. And you can grab a square, make this smaller. And if you want to achieve, you know what, I'm going to copy one of these to have my size, approximate size, something like this, and then make it a little bit smaller, like this. So I do have my first shape, and now let's see how many columns we want to create. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. We are going to recreate this specific table right here. Okay, so 4 different shapes for the 4 different columns. Okay, so the first one is the largest, pretty much like this. All right, then we have 2 smaller ones. So I'm going to just copy this. You know what, I'm going to align this already on my grid. I'm going to use the safe zone right here to not to make sure I'm not too wide. And I'm going to copy this shape and actually copy it twice like this. I have twice this same shape and I want to make them smaller. Okay, so I'm going to group them, and then no, that's not the way to do it. Sorry, I'm going to ungroup. I'm just going to resize them at the actual size I want to use to kind of recreate this. Okay, I think I'm going to run out of space if I do this like this, so I'm going to make everything a tad smaller. Like this. Okay, getting rid of this one, and then I'm just simply going to copy this one, because as we can see in our example here on Google Image, we have 2 similar size columns right there in the middle, and then a narrower one at the end of our table. So let's go for the narrower one. One of the difficulties here is going to be to have the same alignment between your shapes. This is going to be the major difficulty for this kind of design, to make sure you have the same spacing between your elements. So what you will have to do is to count. So the way to do it, I'm going to take both of these, stick it like against the first one, again select them, and go 1, 2, 3 strokes of my left arrow key, or my right arrow key, sorry. So just counting like this, and then again you paste this against the first one, select it, and then my right arrow key 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So if you count like this, then you will make sure you have the same distance between your boxes. Or you can add more than 3 spaces. It's really entirely up to you. And also remember, if you hold the Shift key or the Command key on a Mac, and then use the arrows, it will increment by 5 or 10 pixels. I'm not sure exactly. I think if I remember correctly, it was 10 pixels or 5 pixels. Sorry, I don't remember exactly this measure, but it will increment by more than just 1 space. So let's create our last column. So copy this, stick it, and then 1, 2, 3 strokes, and then we make this the narrowest of all our columns. So now we have the structure of our table. Let's see if it kind of looks similar to what we have here. We have a large one, 2 smaller, and then 1 narrower. So this looks pretty much like it. So what I can do now, I select them all, like the 4 of these boxes. I will group that, and then I will copy it. And then what I can do is simply to move them down with the same technique. 1, 2, 3 strokes of my arrow down like this, and then we start building our table. Then what we can do to go even faster, we select the first one, ungroup, select the second one, ungroup, then we will select everything, group again, and then copy. Just like that. And then I paste it, I stick it to, so that it touches the first 2 rows, I would say, and then 1, 2, 3, adding my spacing here. And you can see this table is taking place. So now if you want to, let's say how many lines, how many rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's go for 6. I'm gonna go 2 more. So copy this one again, like this. Let me make sure it's stuck. 1, 2, 3, there. Now we have our table. I'm gonna group everything together. So first I have to ungroup, because you cannot group groups of elements. So you have to ungroup first and then regroup to have one full table. So there we go. We have the table now. The last thing we need to do is just to input our text inside of our table. So for this, very simple, you just add text. You can use the T stroke on your keyboard, creates a text box. Of course, you can reduce the text box, the size, the font. You can change everything as per what you need. So let me first, let me just copy this. I'm not going to recreate the whole thing, but it says neighborhood. Neighborhood. You can give it the nice background color so that it actually blends well. And let's change the font for League Spartan a little bit bigger, like this. Okay, this is not bad. I can reduce the size of my box and then position this where it needs to be. Again, it's going to be a little bit difficult to align, but nothing is impossible. You just use your arrow, your keyboard arrows to make this centered. All right, so this is how you create the table, but this is the hard way. I guess there is an easier way that I can show you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. So for this, I'm going to go back to my calendar templates. So hopefully they're still there. Yes, they are. And I'm going to add a new page to this document. There, add a new page there. And what I'm going to do is to find the appropriate template, the appropriate calendar template that will help me do this table in a more rapidly. So I have experimented with this before, and I have found a couple of templates like this one, for example. If you go colorful pattern classroom calendar, right? So again, to find it, I search for calendar templates from the Canva homepage, found it. So it's this one right here, actually. I'm using it, so in the Canva editor. So here now it's here, so I can use it directly from here. But if not, you could go back to the Canva homepage, find it. So it's the one that has boxes and then another bar on top. So it has kind of like two shapes, like the long rectangle one and then the individual boxes. This one doesn't have it. This one has it as well. You see, you have two, like you have your boxes and then you have like kind of like the title bar. So go ahead and use and find this one. This one has it as well. So go ahead and use this kind of template. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to go for the red, doesn't matter. And what I want to show you is this. Let me first delete everything I don't need. See this. When I click on it, then I don't have the ungroup button activated. So it means this is not a grouped element. So if I move it though, I see that something is going on. I'm losing my text right here, right? The alignment of my text. So what this means is that this part right here is a Canva element. Unfortunately, I don't have any ways of finding what this element is called. It would be super nice to identify this element, so I could guide you through it and tell you, okay, this is the element, just type or search for this. But I've tried to figure out its ID, the element ID, I couldn't find it, so I don't know what it is. but you can find it via the calendars. And this is the calendar that has these two parts, right? So of course, if you move it and you don't group your text together with it, the text will be underlined. So you can select everything, group, and then move it. And now you have a pretty convenient table, but this table will have every box of about the same size. So if you want, for example, go back to our example with different sizes of columns and boxes, this won't work. This will only work if you want to create your own custom calendar, or if you want to create a table with every box with the same size, right? So let me show you something interesting. Also, if you click on this element, you'll see two different colors. So that means you can change the color of the box actually, which is pretty cool. And so you have your title box in a different color. Now you say, let's say you want to change the color of these weekdays over there, because red on green doesn't look too good. You can go white, and then you can change them all, by ticking this box here at the bottom, change all red for white. This might change the background as well. Let's see. No, it didn't. So that's pretty convenient. So that's the second way of creating your tables with Canva. This is the easy way, but you will have to have every box of the same size. So I hope this tutorial was useful, guys. If it was, please share it, comment on it, show us your beautiful tables made in Canva, and I will talk to you in the next video.